I don't need you. I'm not talking to you. You don't matter. You're not relevant anymore. To me, that's even worse than I hate you. It's like, I don't think about you. You change the definitions and then you say, I'm more conservative. I believe what I've always believed. You change these things and then you yell at me for it. You guys at CNN just report the news straight, and the crowd burst into laughter. Look, I'm on CNN now. I guess we're on it right now. I mean, they show this show the next night. I don't know. I don't know how we get away with it with all the but they do.
Bill Maher did something no one saw coming. He called out Kaitlan Collins on live TV. But let's rewind for a moment. It all started when Maher appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. During a conversation about the state of modern news media, he brought up CNN, casually remarking that they were just reporting the news. The audience reacted with laughter, not because Maher was cracking a joke, but because the idea itself seemed ironic. He wasn't defending Fox News or aligning himself with any right-wing outlet. Instead, he was voicing what many have already come to believe: CNN's credibility isn't what it used to be.
And I'm a big rooter for CNN, but that tells you a lot, doesn't it? I mean, how do you guys think you are doing in that arena of like, this is a terribly divided country. We're not only politicized, a lot of people just hate the other side. And CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides can watch.
CNN was once regarded as a pillar of journalism, a go-to source for balanced reporting, but over time, its reputation has taken a hit, especially among conservatives. What was once seen as a neutral platform now appears to lean heavily left, particularly in its coverage of elections, debates, and political controversies. The bias isn't just a claim from the right, even prominent liberals have called it out. Take Bill Maher, for example. He's no conservative attacking the left. He's simply pointing out the shift. Maher specifically criticized how CNN handles political speeches, often showering Democratic politicians with praise while dissecting and scrutinizing every word, gesture, and expression from Republicans. When even those within the left-leaning sphere start questioning CNN's objectivity, it raises a critical question. Has the network lost the trust of the American public, or is this just the evolution of modern media, where impartiality is becoming a thing of the past?
There are a whole lot of people who are just conditioned to only wanting to hear one side of the story.
Correct. They do not want to hear the other side.
Bill Maher didn't mince words when calling out CNN's selective praise, exposing it as more activism than journalism. And he's not wrong. When a network claims impartiality but shifts its reaction based on who is speaking, it's no longer reporting the news, it's shaping the narrative. But that wasn't even the most telling moment. Kaitlan Collins' handling of Donald Trump during CNN's town hall was even more revealing. She repeatedly pushed him on Ukraine, demanding a definitive stance. Yet Maher saw this as something bigger, just another example of mainstream media setting a trap rather than seeking real answers.
Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying, Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop.
This is a textbook case of media spin. If Trump had fully backed Ukraine, CNN might have painted him as a warmonger dragging the world into conflict. If he leaned toward Russia, they would have called him a traitor. The reality, there was no right answer, because one wasn't the goal. Kaitlan Collins wasn't searching for clarity. She was setting a trap, aiming for a viral moment rather than a meaningful discussion. But Trump didn't take the bait. Instead of playing into the narrative, he called for an end to the war, sidestepping the controversy entirely. Bill Maher saw through the setup, openly criticizing Collins and CNN for pushing an agenda instead of engaging in real journalism. He also highlighted a growing frustration, reporters acting more like prosecutors than truth seekers. And he's not wrong. Rather than digging into policy or seeking genuine insight, Collins appeared more focused on crafting a soundbite, something CNN could replay and dissect for days. In the end, the real story wasn't about diplomacy or foreign affairs. It was about media manipulation at its finest.
It's never been allowed to happen. I know he's a friend of yours. He's a friend of CNN. That's why nobody watches CNN anymore, because they have no credibility. Okay, who else? Yes, please.
Moments like these explain why public trust in mainstream media is crumbling. When journalists prioritize setting traps over uncovering the truth, reporting stops being about facts and starts looking like second-rate entertainment. But Bill wasn't finished. He exposed one of CNN's most glaring cover-ups. If you followed the Hunter Biden laptop saga, you already know how it unfolded. Just before the 2020 election, election, the New York Post dropped a bombshell report revealing emails that raised serious concerns about the Biden family's dealings. Instead of investigating, CNN and other major outlets brushed it off, dismissing it as Russian disinformation. Fast forward to today, the laptop is confirmed to be real, the emails were authentic, and even CNN has been forced to acknowledge the truth. Maher admitted that CNN deliberately buried the story, recognizing that it could have swayed the election. That's not just media bias, that's outright suppression of information. And here's the double standard. Imagine if Donald Trump Jr. had been involved in a similar scandal. CNN would have run non-stop coverage, panel discussions, and special investigations. But when it's Hunter Biden, suddenly the so-called free press falls silent.
I have a relationship with people who want to hear what I think is the truth, and I'm going to present both sides.
Bill Maher's blunt honesty is a rare sight in today's media landscape. Let's be real, most liberal commentators wouldn't dare touch this story, but he did, and in doing so, he exposed a glaring issue: the selective accountability of modern news outlets. Media should hold all politicians to the same standard, not just the ones they disagree with. Yet, that's exactly where CNN falls short. They proudly brand themselves as champions of democracy. But what kind of democracy allows the press to cherry-pick stories based on political convenience? The irony is hard to ignore. The very institutions that claim to uphold journalistic integrity suddenly go silent when the spotlight turns on their own side.
I don't say the things that please people all the time, but that's my ultimate bond with the audience. When I lose people, it's like, okay, well, you were never meant to be with me in the first place.
Yeah.
We can't have a relationship.
Bill Maher didn't just criticize CNN, he exposed their selective coverage, media tactics, and the suppression of inconvenient stories. But he didn't stop there. He called out their blatant double standards, revealing how they shape public perception rather than simply reporting the facts. When a Democrat takes the podium, CNN hails them as presidential and unifying. But when a Republican speaks, every word is dissected, framed as controversial or even dangerous. Maher argues that CNN isn't just biased. They've become activists, carefully curating the news to fit their preferred narrative. Criticism of CNN's leanings is nothing new, but hearing it from Maher, a liberal, not a conservative, makes it clear that their credibility isn't just being questioned by the right, it's unraveling across the board. That brings us to Kaitlan Collins, the face of CNN's new era, an era where journalists claim objectivity while subtly pushing an agenda. Her attempt to corner Trump may have been designed to maintain CNN's illusion of neutrality, but Maher wasn't fooled. By calling out the network's tactics, he proved that even within liberal circles, CNN's reputation is rapidly deteriorating.
Stupid question, and you got just the answer you deserve. And that is why they like them.
Yeah.
So, what exactly did we just witness? Bill Maher, a comedian known for his sharp takes, just did what many thought was impossible. He held up a mirror to CNN, and even their most loyal defenders couldn't ignore the cracks. For years, CNN prided itself on being the gold standard of journalism, the final stronghold against misinformation, and the responsible alternative to hyperpartisan media. They built their brand on trust, credibility, and a mission to keep the public informed. But Maher just flipped the script, exposing tactics that many have suspected for years: narrative control, selective reporting, and an agenda-driven approach to news. And let's talk about Kaitlan Collins. She wasn't just caught off guard, she was completely unprepared for the reality check. Instead of addressing Maher's points head-on, she found herself scrambling to defend CNN's credibility, all while avoiding the very accusations being thrown at them. The tension was unmistakable. But here's the bigger question: if even mainstream voices like Maher are now calling CNN out, what does that say about the network's future? Has the trust erosion reached a breaking point? Are viewers finally waking up to the biases they once dismissed? And this isn't just about CNN, it's about the broader media landscape. If a platform that once prided itself on being a beacon of truth is now under scrutiny, what does that mean for journalism as a whole? Are we entering an era where people are turning away from traditional networks in search of raw, unfiltered content? One thing's for sure, this moment wasn't just another viral clip, it was a shift, a wake-up call, and maybe even a sign that the media industry as we know it is heading for a major reckoning. So what do you think? Did Maher just expose CNN for what it really is? Or was this just another case of media criticism that will be swept under the rug? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that matter. This conversation is far from over.